In this video, I'm going to be giving you a 2026 optimized Klaviyo flows tutorial so that you can start printing revenue for your brand on absolute autopilot. Even if you are a complete beginner, this tutorial is going to give you the absolute step-by-step process that you need to set up your core flows properly. We're going to cover the main flows that every single brand needs, starting from 0 all the way up to 100 mil a year. I'm going to go over how to set these up inside of Klaviyo and exactly what emails you should be sending, all the way down to the number of emails, to where you should put testimonials and all that good stuff. These are the same strategies that have helped me generate my clients over $200 million in email sales in just the past 2 years. And I'm going to be giving this all away for you in this video. By the end, you are literally going to be able to copy and paste these flows into your brand to start making money from your email marketing literally almost immediately. Now, before we actually get to setting any of these up, we need to have an understanding of what flows are and why they're so important. Basically, flows are just going to be a series of emails that trigger based on an individual person's action on your website. For example, let's say I went to Nike's website and I abandoned a cart. Boom, that is going to trigger Nike's abandoned cart sequence flow. And essentially, they're going to be sending me emails over the next week or so trying to remind me of what I left in my cart to get me to buy again. You have all sorts of different flows that you can have when somebody joins your list, to when they abandon a cart, abandon a checkout, they view an item and leave. You can have post-purchase stuff, all these different automations. And here's why this matters so much. If all you're doing is sending manual blasts to your email list, it's impossible for you to reach out to somebody at an exact time or at such an instance in their customer journey, such as them browsing your website for the first time. However, that's the exact point when somebody is most likely to buy from you. And that's where your email flows come in. They let you send the right message to the right person at the right time based on what they are doing actively on your website or in your emails. Because somebody who just joined your email list from your pop-up form needs different information than somebody who has abandoned a cart 3 times in the past month. And that's what makes flows so powerful. They make sure you never miss an opportunity to make a sale. And the best part is it's all automated. You set these up once and they're going to be making you revenue while you sleep. And here we're going to be covering the most important flows for your brand so you can make as much money as possible. Now, there are all sorts of different flows that you can set up, but we're just going to focus on the basics and the non-negotiables. And the beauty of this is these flows that I'm showing you generate 90% of all the revenue that you might be able to make on flows. Really, all you need are these core ones. And I'm breaking down our full $200 million strategy. And that first flow is the welcome flow. Probably the most important one. This is going to be the sequence of emails that sends to somebody when they sign up for your email list for the first time. Because the second that somebody gives you their email address, they just said, yes, I want to hear from you, and yes, I'm interested in your products. Which means they're probably more interested now than any time ever that they're going to be. So if you don't have a proper high converting welcome flow set up, or it's just one boring thanks for signing up email, you're wasting the best opportunity that you have in the entire customer journey. Now let me show you how to actually create a welcome flow that converts. Let's take a look at this brand for example. We have an absolutely dialed email welcome flow. We can see in the past 30 days, it has generated $589,000. So if you get this right, it can generate you a lot of money. So all that we have to do to set up this flow is we're going to go to flows right here. We're going to create a flow right here. And Clavio gives you all these templates that you can create flows for. You can do whatever sort of goal that you want, but for all of these, I'm just gonna be building these kind of from scratch. So I'm just gonna build my own right here, and I'm gonna create this manually. I'm gonna do welcome test. I'm gonna create this manually, and we can see right here, it goes into an editor. And right off the bat, we need to pick our trigger. What is going to fire this flow? And what we wanna fire this flow is we want it to be when somebody is added to a list. And that's gonna be our welcome list. And so you can see this trigger right here, added to list. I'm gonna click this list, and I'm going to click the list that people are opting in from my pop-up form. So wherever your pop-up form is, whether it's in Klaviyo or whatever, make sure that you click the list that people are being added from the pop-up form. Because if somebody joins a different list, this flow is not going to fire. So we want to make sure it is the correct one. And so for this one, let's just say it was this email list right here. If somebody's added to email list, they're going to be added right here. We can click save, and then now we can get to actually building this flow. Now you can do re-entry. You can allow people to re-enter into this flow or not. It's completely up to you. But I'm just going to do no re-entry just so that people don't just like abuse re-signing up for the discount code. And there's one other thing that we want to add into this flow, which is going to be our profile filters. And so essentially what a profile filter is before we send an email, any email within this flow, Klaviyo is going to look and see if somebody meets conditions that we set. And so what we want to do right here is we want to make sure that if somebody places an order on, say, the first email of the flow, we don't want them to keep receiving emails in the welcome flow. So we want to exclude them. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add this filter of what someone has done. We're gonna say somebody has placed order 0 times since starting this flow right here. And so as people are going through this sequence, Klaviyo is gonna be looking, they're gonna pass as long as somebody has placed an order 0 times. If somebody does place an order, they're gonna be filtered out and they're gonna be removed from the flow. That's really all that you need to know. And now we can get to actually building the flow logic. We can see in the drag and drop editor within Klaviyo, we can drag whatever we want in here. And I'm gonna go over the strategy of these emails. I'm just going over kind of just like Klaviyo and what the technical setup is. So you can see right here, you can just drag your emails and then you have your editor right here where you can go in and edit your email templates. And so you can add our time delays. Really all that we're going to be doing within here is we're going to be doing 4 emails with 1 day time delays. So I'm just gonna drag and drop these and then we will go over the strategy and what exactly we want to send in these emails. All right, here's how the flow looks within Klaviyo. It is just this simple. You have the filter up at the top when somebody joins the email list, place order 0 times since starting this flow. Then we're gonna send an email instantly. We're gonna wait 1 day and then we're gonna have another email, wait 1 day, another email, wait 1 day, another email. And this is all that you need before we set up our emails. One tricky thing that Klaviyo does is they have this clock button right here, which is called smart sending, which is gonna skip recently emailed profiles, where if somebody received a campaign or for whatever reason they received an email, it's gonna skip them from receiving this email. I like to turn this off for all of my flows. These are very high converting emails. I do not want people to be skipped. So we're gonna have to do this for every single flow that we set up in every email. I review some accounts that are missing thousands, like literally tens of thousands of dollars every single month because they have this turned on. But that's just like the last little thing that we have to do, and then we can actually get to building the emails. Let's get to the strategy. All right, so I'm going to head over to this file right here where I've broken down all the core flows that we are going over. Right here, we have the welcome flow, which we just talked about, and I'm gonna be walking you through an example as well right here, a full welcome flow that we can go through. Now, we have to think about the customer as they're going through this flow. So they just signed up from the pop-up form for some sort of discount. You're gonna have some sort of discount in your pop-up form. And so let's think about the customer. They probably want to know a little bit about the brand, and they probably, most of all, just want their discount code. They sign up for the pop-up form, they wanna know what their discount code is so that they can go back to shopping. So that's really all that we wanna do within this first welcome email. Maybe do a brief introduction to the brand, encourage some exploration, something super simple. And this is a great example right here. Super simple. Hey, just right in your face, welcome in, let's make something beautiful. Use this discount code at checkout for 15% off. Super clear, right in their face, and then a little bit of product information on how we're a little bit different from the competitors, but really just showing them what they want, which is that discount code. And this email is gonna generate you the most amount of money. Feel free to add social proof. Feel free to make this a lot longer if you want. You can do all sorts of things here. And then we wanna be sending an email every single day. I see some brands wanting to wait like 3 days in between emails, but somebody could literally have forgotten about you by the time that it's been 3 days before you send a second email. What I found always convert better is send an email every single day. So I like to then go with a brand story, try to differentiate us from our competitors in some way, and of course remind of the discount that the customer has. We want to remind of the discount in every single email. I'll review welcome flows, and sometimes people aren't reminding of the discount. So then it's pretty much just like a regular campaign. We need to make sure people know about the discount. And of course, people buy from urgency. So I like to follow this up with, hey, your discount's expiring, yada, yada, yada. Add a little bit of customer support. I add some social proof in this email, so mix in urgency with social proof, and then finish with a note from the founder or a note from the team, some sort of text-based email. These text-based emails cut right through the noise. We're gonna be using them a lot in this flow setup that I'm gonna show you because it looks like somebody's actually reaching out to you, and that just works really, really well. And so this is the simple welcome flow strategy that we just always keep going back to, even for our 9-figure brands. So let's go to like the second email right here, where we go into the brand story. You can see right up at the top, we mentioned the discount again. Right in somebody's face, right when they open the email, they know where their discount code is and they have it right here. And then it's just a story about the brand. How did it all start? Why are we all here today? And it really, we're just putting in also our selling points of like, we don't cut corners, we don't outsize work, all that good stuff. And we're talking about like New Jersey, where we're from. That's gonna hit really strong for like people who are from that sort of area. So that works. And then also linking even to the section on the website, which says see our story. And then a little bit of product education as well. How it works, select your service, choose your style, make it yours, preview and order. And then last reminder, the discount code right here so that they have it. Very strong right here for email too. I always like to go with some sort of education. And then of course, have our urgency email, which I had mentioned before. You can keep this super simple. Just give people urgency. Hey, 15% off and soon. Click this button. This is actually a countdown timer, which is going to count down on the person's order. And then shop by category to help some people make decisions. And of course, mixing in social proof and then help right here. You always want to mix in social proof somewhere within your welcome flow. You can never have too much. I'd say this is quite quite low on social proof. There could definitely be a lot more social proof in this, but you can see like the testimonials right here, and these have been carefully picked by the team to make sure that they are high converting. And then also just having a button to let people contact you in case they have questions, because it is a little bit of an interesting service. So super simple, straightforward, where we then go to this plain text-based email right here, coming from a person. It looks like the founder is actually reaching out to you, and that's why these emails perform so well. A lot of people try to get way too caught up with all these crazy designs, but trust me, this is the shit that really prints for you. Say something like, hey, with the first name, you can use this tag within Clavio, first name, and then default there. If you have their first name, it's gonna say the first name like Max, but if not, if you don't have the first name, it's just gonna say there. That says, Anthony here, I'm the guy who started making custom picture frames. Just wanted to let you know that your discount code expires tonight. Whether it's a signed jersey, a travel photo, your kid's latest masterpiece, we're gonna help you frame it right. And then go into some unique selling propositions about the brand, and then also encouraging people to reply, because you will notice very, very high reply rates on this email because it feels like an actual person reaching out to you. And that's the beauty and why this sort of email performs so well. And that is the welcome flow strategy that is gonna print for you. Just have a quick intro to deliver the discount, give a little bit of brand information, and then go deep on your brand story and unique selling propositions for email 2 a day later. And then a day after that, go hard on urgency, mix in some social proof. Email 4, mix in a text-based last chance sort of email from the founder. That is the recipe right there. And if you're wondering, I'm within Figma right here. You can design emails within Figma. I have another video on email design and how to execute it properly. But all that we do to build this within Clavio is we're just splitting this email into images using the email slice feature within Figma. And then we're uploading the images into here within Clavio. So what I would do here is I would go in and add my subject line and preview text. You don't need to overthink your subject lines and preview text. Just do what feels natural to you. And I have another video on my channel. If you look at Max Sturdivant subject lines and preview text, it's gonna help walk through this as well. But let's just say I wanna do welcome to Wellcopy. And then for my preview text, I'm going to say your 15% off discount is inside. Right here, so I have my subject line and preview text, and then to actually create the email, we're going to need to select a template right here. We can select any sort of template that we want. Clavio has templates. We could just also start with a blank one right here and click create, and this takes us to our email editor. Very similar to the flow builder, you have these different sections right here where you're gonna upload your email, and like I said, we're just doing images. And so yeah, I just drag and drop images right here. I get asked by people like, oh, can you have only images in your emails? Yes, it's 2026. Look at all the big brands out there, the brands that are scaling fast in e-com. They all use pure image-based emails. It's the easiest to do. It gives you the most freedom in terms of how you can execute design and everything. All you have to do is slice up your email, take screenshots of them if you have to, and just upload the images right here. If I were to do this right now, just super quick, I could just, I don't recommend doing this, but I could just literally drag the images right here, and then you'll see it load right here within Clavio, and I could do that for the rest of the email, no problem. So let's say that I do this, and then I drag that into here. Of course, you'd want to make sure that it's lined up and clean right here, and add the footer as well, but this is really all you need to do besides then adding your links. We'd have our link to whatever this brand's website is right here. You could say it's Nike.com, and this is where the link is gonna send it, and then same thing right here. It's as simple as that, and then we have our email right here, and then we can click done, and then once we build out the rest of our emails, we'd be able to turn it on and turn it live. One thing to note for our text-based emails, as we go in here, what we have to do to create that plain text-based email, I like my plain text emails to show up like this, where it looks native in the person's platform, like this looks like Gmail because it is Gmail, is within Clavio, you have to go here, when you're clicking your template, you need to click create text only email, and then you'll have the editor right within here where it's just plain text, and then it just looks like a plain text-based email that's going to show up native in that person's email platform. That's all you have to do to build it out. It's that simple. Just add in your subject line preview text, design your emails, and then upload it to Clavio. Again, I have other videos on design. This is purely for strategy within our flows. And that is the welcome flow and how to set it up and run it effectively. Now, like I said, we're just covering the basic flows that every brand needs. So if you want a full 50+ page guide that breaks down all these flows and even more advanced strategy, you can grab that for free using the link in the description below. Next, we are going to go over to our abandonment flows. Now we have 4 key abandonment flows right here. We have the site abandon, we have the browse abandon, we have the cart abandon, and we have the checkout abandon. They're all similar, but different. The site abandon flow is going to trigger when anybody goes to the website, but they don't actually view any products. This is a flow that very little brands have, and I wish more did, because this can be a serious unlock for your brand. Because if I were to go to this website right here for Nike, say I clicked on one of their ads, and then I was brought to to this page. Maybe I go to men right here. Maybe I'm looking around a little bit. I go to running. I'm looking at this a little bit. But if I were to leave the website right now, I would not get any emails. I would not get any emails if I didn't have a site abandon flow. That's why the site abandon flow is so important. And so we're going to talk about that one in a second. But I want to talk about the browse abandon flow, because the browse abandon flow is then a little bit further down the funnel. This is going to be if somebody actually views a product of yours and then leaves. So if I was shopping on Nike and then I actually clicked on a product page like this, boom, I'm looking at a product. I'm viewing that product. I'm browsing that product. And that's what we want to trigger our browse abandon flow right here. So that's the browse abandon flow. Somebody's a little bit further down the funnel. They found a product that maybe they liked, and so we need to remind them of it. But what about if somebody goes further down the funnel? That's where we have the cart abandon and the checkout abandon flows. And this is a major mistake in most brands. They kind of just have one flow, but not the other. We need both flows. So make sure you have a cart abandon flow and a checkout abandon flow. The cart abandon flow, it's gonna fire if I add something to cart. So if I were to click my size, I click add to bag right now, that should fire the cart abandon flow. If I were to leave and not buy this, this is what I want it to fire. And the checkout abandon flow is if I go even farther. The checkout abandon flow is if I actually go to this checkout page right here. If I were to go to this checkout page, this is what's going to fire the checkout abandon flow. If I were to leave right now, this is, I'll go into the checkout abandon flow. Now this is the farthest down the funnel. It is the closest, so this is the most important for getting people to buy. These are the people who are almost there. And usually they have some sort of price objection because they have now seen the price, or some sort of shipping objection or guarantees, like that sort of stuff is what we want to focus on for this flow. But those are the different flows and how they trigger. Now let's go through the strategy for each, and then we're going to set them up inside of Klaviyo. So the site abandon flow, it's a lot lower intent. And so we don't need to go crazy on this in terms of like number of emails. Right here, the trigger in Klaviyo is active on site if you're using Shopify. We're going to use that trigger. And then for filters, we're going to do viewed product 0 times since starting this flow, because if somebody views a product, we want to trigger the browse abandon flow. We're going to do added to cart 0 times since starting this flow, checkout started 0 times, and then placed order 0 times. And has not been in this flow in the last 30 days. We don't want somebody to keep receiving this flow if they keep going back to the website, because then they'll just see the same email multiple different times. But if anybody goes farther down the funnel, they're going to enter into the other flows, which is why we have these filters set up. And all that we want to do, I have found that waiting 3 hours is the best time for this flow, kind of like 3 to 4 hours in that range. It gives people time to like, go do whatever else they're doing, because maybe they weren't super interested. So we want to find them at a different time where maybe they have they're more ready to buy. And so email 1, we just want to address their abandonment. Super important that we address like, hey, you are on our website. Then we want to give some sort of like customer support details and show off our products. We want to pique their interest again. We have them and we need to try to get their interest again. So we like to do just one email like this before we go again with a text-based follow-up email right here. And then if you can have some sort of like welcome offer if somebody hasn't bought before, we can talk about how to set that up. But I always like to follow it up with a text-based email a day later from the founder. Now let's look at these emails right here. Super simple. Hey, are you still browsing? And then this brand only has 2 products. And so we just address that straight up. 2 products thoughtfully made to nourish and hydrate, ready when you are. And then there's a discount right here just because this is going to be sent to people. You can give a discount if you want. You could skip the discount if you want. Completely up to you and your brand. This was a brand who wanted to do it. And then a button way up at the top of the email. And then you can never mix in too much social proof. This is a great little entrance of a testimonial before then showing off the products again. So this really checks all the boxes, as well as just like support, checks all the boxes, addresses the abandonment, mixes in some social proof, and shows off the products and offers support. All in this little space right here. This is a very high converting site abandon email, where you then follow it up with a email right here from the founder, just reaching out and being like, hey, thank you for checking us out. It means the world. And then educate a little bit more about the product and then remind of that discount one more time. And just this little note right here is often just like the nudge that can get people over the edge. This is the site abandon flow. Let's go to set this up in Klaviyo. So if we go back to flows here in Klaviyo, we want to create flow, and I am going to build my own for this one as well. I'm going to do site abandon test just like this. And we're going to create it manually just like last time. But instead, we are going to do a custom metric right over here. We are going to go to all triggers and we're going to do a metric. We want to do a metric and we are going to look up the active on site metric. If your Klaviyo is set up properly, you're going to have this active on site segment. I'm going to save this, or I should say metric, and then boom, we have the active on site. It's important for you to check and make sure that this is working. For some stores, this metric isn't working and you might need to disable your Klaviyo integration with Shopify or whatever platform you're using and then reintegrate it. But we can see that this is firing every day. We can see that there were 8,500 Klaviyo accounts that were active on the website on December 31st, which is pretty crazy. But I just like to verify and make sure that that's firing properly. Now let's set up the filters that we were looking at before. I'm going to plug these all in. You can speed through this, but I'm gonna set this all up right now. And so I have all the filters set up here. It's just viewed product 0 times since starting this flow. You can see it's this one right here, and then we have the Shopify added to cart 0 times since starting this flow, checkout started 0 times since starting this flow, and placed order 0 times since starting this flow. And we can see we also has not been in flow in the last 30 days. So what I'm going to do here is we can actually do the re-entry criteria, which this is new in Klaviyo. So you can do allow re-entry after 30 days, and that's going to fix that filter right here. So if anybody were to do any of these actions, then they're going to be removed from our flow. Now let's get to actually adding the emails. I'm going to add email. I actually need to add our time delay right here. I'm going to wait 30 minutes, just like this. Add in wait 1 day before we have our text-based email right here. For our text-based email, I'm going to switch to the text-only editor, and then it's gonna bring me in here. And then I can write my copy just directly in here. Feel free to use the template in this example as guidance. And right here, we are good to go. And then for the other graphic-based email, again, we're just gonna be uploading images. We're gonna design our emails in Figma, Canva, or whatever. Check out my other videos on email design if you want to do this. And then we're gonna upload it as images and add in our links. And boom, that is the site abandon flow. Let's move over then to the browse abandon flow, which is going to have the same filters, but without the viewed product filter. So it's just gonna be added to cart 0 times starting this flow, checkout started 0 times, placed order 0 times, and has not been in this flow in the past 30 days. And this is where we're actually getting data from the customer. Because if somebody were to view a product on our website, then we actually are able to get that within Klaviyo, and we can actually show what the person left behind. And so what we're going to do within these emails is we're gonna see this Klaviyo dynamic block section right here. This is where we're then going to have a block from Klaviyo, which is going to pull and show exactly what the customer left behind, and it's gonna be custom for that client. And so we're just doing just a super simple nudge right here, just showing the item that the person left behind. Oftentimes this is just enough to get somebody to purchase or go back to the website. It's just like showing them exactly what they left behind. Feel free to add social proof, whatever. That's never gonna hurt, but we just went with like a branded approach here. And then you have a text-based email as well right here, adding a little bit of urgency. Our most popular scents are flying off the shelves. Take another look, you might have missed out. Again, that text-based sort of email, which works so well in 2026, before we then have a flash discount right here. Or you could do like a welcome offer, whatever your welcome offer is right here. Right here, have the flash discount, the Klaviyo dynamic section right here, before then showing some products. You can see some social proof down here, and that's really all that you need for the browse abandon flow. And so for this one, same sort of thing as far as setup on Klaviyo. Let's go to build our own, and we're going to have dynamic blocks in here. And so this is where I like to use Klaviyo's templates. We can actually see browse abandon right here. You can look it up, and this is the correct flow. You can have ones with email and SMS. You can have it just standard email. I'm going to do this one, and this is the one that I would recommend. We're going to do browse abandon test right here, and it's going to kind of have a templated email as well for us with the filters right here. But we're going to do a double check, make sure that this is all set up. So we have checkout started 0 times since starting this flow. We're actually also missing the cart abandoned. So if we go here into our little cheat sheet, we need to make sure we have added to cart 0 times since starting this flow. Can't fully trust Klaviyo. I don't know how they don't have this stuff updated yet, but it should also have added to cart 0 times since starting this flow right here. Placed order 0 times, checkout started 0 times, and will allow re-entry after 30 days. Then boom, this is all set up and good to go. I like to wait a time of 1 hour, a little bit faster than the site abandon flow. I just found people are a little bit higher of intent here, and you don't need to wait quite as long. And so we like to have this be 1 hour, and then we'll wait 1 day between the next emails right here. We'll add this one right here, and then let's add the last time delay, and then the last email right here. Boom. So we have this. Now let's actually get into the building of this email, because it's going to be a little bit different just because we have dynamic sections within our emails. Now, if you don't want to have to struggle through this whole YouTube video and set up all these flows yourself, you can book a call with us with the link below, and we can set this up completely for you, because we've generated over $200 million in email marketing for our clients using these sorts of emails. And we'll see if we can help you, and we'll tell you straight up how much revenue we think these will be able to generate for you. If you want to know how much we think we can generate you and get a quote on how much it would cost for you, then click the link below. So if we go right here, we can see Klaviyo gives you the plain subject line of did you see something you liked? And if we go into this template, we can see that it's already pulling stuff in right here, and it has these dynamic sections already set for you. You can see just super simple, just a text editor right here where you can edit anything that you want. You have these dynamic sections right here. This is a dynamic table, which is going to pull the image as well as the name of the event. This is why, kind of like to save us time in having to fill this out and give you guys like the dynamic links and whatnot. This is why I like to use this Clavio template right here, but it has this dynamic section right here, which is going to pull products. You can also see this is a product section, which is actually right here. It's going to be this right here, a section. You can see this product section right here, which is going to be this product little link where you can set up a dynamic sort of section or a static section to pull products from your website and show people stuff that they want. And so this one right here, this is actually a dynamic section, which is showing popular products, and it's going to dynamically pull based on what's popular within the store right now. And so you might be wondering, okay, well, how do I make sure that this is working? Super easy. You just go to preview and test right here, and you can actually see and check and make sure that the product is dynamically pulling. Now this is going to be blurred for you. You can see like we have, if I'm previewing as this guy right here, this is what the person took a look at. And so this is what the email would look like for him. Same sort of deal right here. If we go to this one right here, it's going to be different because now this person abandoned this product. And so it's going to be different for each customer, which is super, super nice. And we just do the same thing as our prior emails when we're editing it. So if I wanted to do this, I'm just going to upload my image just like this, and then I'm going to delete this, delete you, and then let me add in the rest of this section right here. I'm just taking screenshots. Again, there's a better way to do this, but for sake of time, I'm just doing this. Let me duplicate you, put you right here, and then let me upload this, and boom, just like that. Look at how clean this is. I would probably want to adjust the fonts, make sure that the font is correct. You can see how this is nice and smooth, it's branded, it looks great, and we can preview this. You can see just how great this looks right here, and it's custom for that person. So that's how we want to make sure that we have these emails built out for all of our abandonment emails. So that is the browse abandon flow. You're going to want to do your text-based email right here as well, and then your last graphic-based email for the last one. But now this brings us to the cart and checkout abandoned flows, which are different flows with different triggers, but you can use the same content. Just to save time, since these are very similar, you have the cart abandoned and then checkout abandoned. These are both very high intent people. You can use the same flow if you want. For our clients, we make them different, slightly different, just so that the customer is getting like varied emails, but you are definitely completely fine with having the same content. You can see the strategy is kind of the same. We want to do nudge and support, have a text-based reminder, and then do a flash-based discount plus some social proof right here, and then a text-based flash discount. And I probably would actually rather do 1 day right here in between these emails, but really just like the main thing here is we want to have a nudge with some support, maybe some education, follow up with a text-based email, open a discount, and then again, follow it up with a text-based email. We're doing double text-based emails in this flow because that's just how good text-based emails convert. You can see this example right here, again, showing the Clavio dynamic block. You're just one click away, finish my order. We're making it seem very close for the customer that they are almost there to making a purchase. They just have one click that they need to do. So we have that, and then mixing in some product education on why like our products are so great, breaking this down, and then also having some support right here. So that is a great example of what you'd want to do for email one, for your cart abandon or checkout abandon. Mixing in a text-based email here. You can see this is a branded text-based email, so it's a little bit different. It has like the logo and everything. And right here, it's just like, was everything okay? Just wanted to check in. Remember, you get free shipping. Finish my order right here. Super simple before then going into the discount. Adding a little bit more urgency right here to make sure that people are placing the order. And then of course, mixing in some social proof, super simple testimonial before then going to a plain text-based email right here from the team. I've always found that coming from a person is better, but if you don't have a person behind the brand, you can absolutely send from the team. Just super simple, friendly reminder, your discount ends tonight. That urgency is going to get people to buy. And that's really all you need for this cart and checkout abandoned flow. Now let's get to setting these up in Clavio because these are actually going to be two separate flows. It's going to be the same emails, but two separate flows with different triggers. And so we could start with checkout abandoned or cart abandoned. Let's start with cart abandoned because it's earlier on. We're going to go right here, start with this one, the Shopify added to cart trigger because we're on Shopify here. And so we're going to do this. This is email and text. So I'm just going to do this email only one. I'm going to do cart abandoned reminder right here. And it looks like they're actually using the old cart abandoned. So let's actually use the Shopify one right here with one email. Okay, yep. Let's do this one right here, cart abandoned test. And let's use this template. And what we're going to be able to do as well is Klaviyo is going to dynamically have the product section that we need. So we're gonna wait 30 minutes right here rather than 1 hour. 30 minutes is what we found to be optimized. Before then we have these emails. We can see smart sending is on, which if you remember earlier in this video, we wanna make sure that this is off. Turn that off. We're going to then just wait 1 day between this next email. That's going to then be the text-based email. And then we're going to wait 1 day before the next email right here. And then the last discount closing email again is going to be just 1 day. Now let's double check that this is set up correctly. Let's go to our cheat sheet over here. We need to do checkout started 0 times since starting this flow and placed order 0 times since starting this flow, and it has not been in this flow in the past 30 days. So let's just double check right here. We have the allow re-entry. We want to make sure we do it after a time period. And then right here, place order 0 times since starting this flow, and then place order 0 times since starting this flow. Perfect. Nice job, Clavio. This is all set up correctly. Now let's just go in and make sure that our dynamic section works properly before we could then upload our email to be sent and get it scheduled. So all of these different events have different dynamic sections, which is why, again, I love using the Clavio template to start. So we just want to double check, make sure that this is working. If it doesn't work, you can hit up Clavio support. But we can see right here, this is pulling in the product properly that the person added to cart, and you can do whatever. You can test this for as many people that you want, and it looks like it's pulling in correctly and okay. I just probably want to adjust the sizing on this. You can adjust this completely fine, make it a custom one, make it a lot smaller, whatever you want, and it would be just the same sort of deal. I just would screenshot this, probably not screenshot, I like to use the slice tool, but we design our email and then we'd bring things over where we then have everything right here. Something that I didn't mention on the browse abandon, which I apologize, but also some other nuance with your abandonment flow is going to be your dynamic links. So we want to make sure that our buttons are actually linking the person to their item or where the action happened. And so for the browse abandon flow, if somebody viewed a product, a specific product, we want to make sure that the button takes that person exactly to the product that they left behind. Same for the cart abandon flow. And that's what this link is right here for the browse abandon and cart abandon flow. You use this event.url. It's already in there by Clavio. They already have it set up within the template that I showed you, and that's usually a good starting point. If you have a question or it's not correct, just hit up Clavio support and they're going to make sure that you're okay. But if you also have a cart page on your website, like if I was Nike, I would probably actually take people to their cart page. And I like to link my cart abandon flow to just like the cart page, just like this, just so that it removes some friction, because that event URL is going to take the person to the product that they added to their cart. I'd rather send them to the cart page. But for browse abandon, we can use that similar link. But just like all the other flows, we're going to build the full email flow exactly how we would. We're going to design it, use this strategy, using these examples, and then we just do the same thing for the checkout abandon flow. I'm going to go to the checkout abandon flow. It's going to be the same emails. I'm just going to have to upload them again. I'm going to go to checkout abandon right here. Let's just do email right here. We can just use this one. It's splitting by high value cart and low value cart. I can just delete one of these. It's really not needed, but same sort of deal right here. Uploading the emails, we're just using this Clavio template because of the dynamic section that it already has filled out for us. I'm just going to delete the no path. Keep it simple. You can do all this split stuff, but it's really not needed. But same sort of setup here. We're going to wait 30 minutes. Let's double check, make sure that this is set up correctly. We want to do a 30-day, get people to come back. The only filter that we need is placed orders 0 times since starting this flow. And as an added precaution, what I have in there is received the cart abandon flow email 0 times since starting this flow. You can do that if you wanted to, just to prevent people being in both flows. So what we would do if you wanted to do that, just as extra precaution, if you really don't want to over email people, I don't worry about it. If somebody's abandoning a cart, then abandoning checkout, like screw it. I want them to get as many emails as possible from me. If you could add this extra precaution of what somebody has done, you can do received email, and we are going to add this filter button where flow equals, and then we're going to go to our cart abandon flow. Whatever the cart abandon flow is, we're going to say they've received the email 0 times since starting this flow. And then right here, boom, now it'll make sure that nobody's entering there. And same sort of setup, exactly how we set up the cart abandon flow a couple minutes ago. That's how we're going to do this checkout abandon in terms of the time delays and the setup and the strategy. We're going to be doing the same stuff as before. Feel free to customize the content as well if you want. And that is the setup of all of your pre-purchase email flows and all the core strategies that you need. The bare minimum that's going to generate you the most amount of money is right here. And I have battle tested all of these emails. Now let's get to the 2 main post-purchase flows that you need. We're going to have the immediate post-purchase flow right here, which we like to do sort of like 3 emails right here. And then we have our win-back flow, which is going to be if somebody bought like 3 months ago and we want them to come back. But let's talk about the immediate post-purchase flow right here. This flow is going to fire after somebody places an order. And for this flow, our goal is to reaffirm the customer's purchase, give them whatever sort of education that they need, and ideally make some more sales, get some cross-sells or upsells. And now there's so many different ways that you could take this flow. If you are a product that maybe it's like a $2,000 sort of like electronic device, maybe you're going to want a few educational emails educating about the different possibilities of your product. Whereas if you're a clothing brand, maybe you don't have much that you need to send somebody. Maybe you can send some outfit inspiration or, hey, go follow us on social media. But the post-purchase flow, you can really do whatever you want. This is just kind of like a base guideline. I like to always send an immediate thank you message to customers, and you can customize it based on how many orders somebody has purchased, just so you don't send somebody the same message every single time. I like for it to be a text-based email from the founder or the team, and then I like to go to product education or how to make the most out of your purchase for email 2 after waiting 2 more days, and then we're going to wait 1 more day and try to do a cross-sell and try to time it when somebody's about to get their next order, or you can time it to when like somebody just received their order to try to get them like while they're excited. And so if we go into the content of these emails, this first text-based email, just like, hey there, you did it. You just made eating healthy a whole lot easier. Welcome to Smoothie Box, where wholesome habits, reaffirming the purchase, saying thank you so much, then have it come from the CEO, and then try to get a sneaky quick upsell. Are you craving another box? Your next order is a click away. Easy peasy, smoothie squeezy, and then a button to keep browsing. And this prints. I cannot tell you how much this little PS button right here prints. For some reason, people just buy. Everybody reads the PS section of an email. Everybody knows that. That's common knowledge. And usually when people buy from your store, they're thinking between multiple different products, or maybe they add 2 items to their cart and they're like, I can't buy both of them. I can only buy one of them. Whatever. I should probably be smart with my money. Sometimes this little nudge right here just gets them over the edge. And usually we can see something like 1 to 2% placed order rates from this email. So I always like to make sure that I include something like that. And then we are going to go to the next email, which is the how to make the most out of your purchase right here. So you've got the goods, smoothies that support your health and schedule. Here's how to make the most of it. And so here is just like a disclaimer on like dry ice. It's how we keep things cool. Don't touch it with bare hands. So that's something important that you want to tell people. And then making the most out of your box. And so just a little bit more product education, how it looks and what you need to do for using it. And then also just like, again, how to make the most out of it, giving you a recipe which will make your smoothie really, really delicious. This is a great educational email that people will really appreciate. And then we've kind of earned the right to then sell people. We can do your smoothies +1. So these are like add-ons. So adding collagen or adding protein, super greens, that sort of stuff is where we can then fit in this email. This is where I found the cross sells to be the best for performance. It's kind of just like right when somebody's about to receive their order and they're excited about it, or right after the person received their order and they're like, again, excited about it, in euphoria, how can I make this even better? So super simple here in the post-purchase flow. Let's get to building this inside of Klaviyo. Again, we're just going to go right here. I'm going to start this one from scratch. I'm going to create it manually. You can name it whatever you want, but we're just going to do placed order metric right here. The Shopify placed order metric, easy peasy. We don't need to do any profile filters. Let's just create this flow right here. And we can see right here what I like to do is I like to customize slightly this email based on if it's a first purchase, second purchase, third, fourth. And you know, if somebody's bought for the 4th time, I want to send them an even more grateful message. Thank you so much for your continued support. It means the world to us. All that sort of stuff. And everything can kind of go off of this template, but just make it a little bit custom. So how we do that is we can actually use the conditional splits inside of Klaviyo right here. And now within this split, we just want to do what somebody has done. We want to do placed order 1 time over all time, meaning that this was their first purchase. The order that they just placed was their first purchase right here. So boom, if placed order, we actually want this to be equals 1 over all time, just like this. So they only placed 1 order. Now this is going to be an email, just a custom note from the founder. Thank you so much for your first purchase, something like that. I would adjust this copy slightly to be like, hey, thank you so much for your first purchase with Smoothie Box. So this one says like, welcome to Smoothie Box. So we have that right there, placed order equals once. And now for the rest, we are going to do the same splits, but split it by number as well. We're going to do what somebody has done. We are going to do placed order equals 2 over all time. And so just like that, we have these different splits. Placed order equals 1. If it's their first order, they're going here. Placed order equals 2. If their second order, they're going to go here. Third order, they'll go here. Fourth order, they will go here. Or actually, we can even delete this. I'm going to delete the no path. And then it's just like anybody who has placed an order over 4 times, 3 to 4 times, they're just going to receive this last email. And then we just need to connect these flows down here at the bottom so that they then meet where we can go into our next email, just like this, where then we're going to add a time delay right here. Maybe we'll do the 2-day time delay. What does it actually say over here? It is, yep, 2-day time delay. And then boom, right here, we can then continue with the rest of the sequence with an email. And then we are going to do a time delay, 1 day, and then the last email right here. And so we have this flow all properly set up. The only thing that, of course, we always need to be very, very careful of is Klaviyo's smart sending feature. We need to make sure that we turn this off, because say somebody clicked an email from us and placed an order. They get triggered into this flow. If we have this recently emailed profiles right here, it's going to skip anybody who received an email in the past 16 hours. That person's going to get skipped from this email, but they bought from an email campaign or an abandoned cart email. We still want to make sure that this person receives this email because we might be able to get an upsell out of them. So for every single flow email, I like to make sure that this is off, and I highly recommend everybody does the same. Now, it's just a matter of plopping in the text-based emails, going into here, switching to text only, adding in my text-based emails, adjusting the copy, designing my emails, and then uploading them into Clavio, where we can then be able to set this flow live by going to review and turn on, and then turning this live. And lastly, we have the Winback flow right here. So the Winback flow is a little bit different, and it's going to be custom for each brand, because some brands have very long buying cycles. Like if somebody is buying a couch, are you really buying a couch once every 3 months? Probably not. The buying cycle is a lot longer compared to something like maybe some sort of supplement or smoothie sort of thing, where it might be 3 months could be a long time between somebody ordering. And that's where we'd want to have like a 90-day win-back segment, where if somebody hasn't placed an order in 90 days, we want to trigger this flow. But for a furniture brand, we might want it to be 1 year or 2 years or something like that. The goal of this flow is just to get somebody to come back after they haven't bought in a while. And so super simple. We just like to do an email once saying we miss you. It's been a while. Just address their sort of like how they've been gone, maybe push them towards new arrivals or popular products. And then we're going to wait 7 days before then giving them some sort of custom discount to come back. So we wait 7 days here and then wait 3 days for the last chance discount, because we also have to keep in mind that this person is receiving campaigns, the blasts that you're sending to your list. So we really don't need to overwhelm them with a ton of emails there, because most of your repeat orders come from these campaigns. I'll be completely honest, not a lot of revenue comes from these win-back flows for our clients. That's because our campaigns are so damn good. We're sending blasts to our email list 4 times per week that the repeat purchases typically just come from those campaigns. But this win-back flow can be really, really important for brands that aren't sending campaigns. But it's important for everybody to have it set up, and it's also very important. I really like to test whatever offer this is. Like maybe you test 10% off with some sort of free gift, or you test giving $20 off and see what the return rates you get are. And so you can see right here, just super simple. It's been a while you've been carrying a proof wallet. We've been innovating. Check out what's new right here. Here are some of our popular wallets right here, and then also just like a guarantee. So right here, just kind of like address their abandonment. Hey, check out what's new. We want you to come back. Here are like some of our popular products, and then we enter the discount. Super simple. Hey, take this discount, shop now, show some products. Super, super simple again. And a text-based email from the founder right here as a last chance to come back, just as we have in all of our other flows, having these text-based emails just because they work so well. So it's a super straightforward flow. I just always recommend testing the different offers that you do here. But the nuance here is going to be in the trigger, because what we could do is we could set a trigger of somebody places an order and wait 90 days. But there's a problem with that. Let me walk you through it. Say we wanted to create our flow right here, and we did some sort of win-back test, create manually. Say I built this flow today and I wanted to get placed orders today. I want people who bought 90 days ago to actually receive these emails. And so I spend a lot of time creating these emails. I have this all set up. Let me just build this out real quick. The problem here is if we do placed order, now I have to set a time delay of, say it was a 90-day win-back flow, which is pretty standard. 90 to 120 days is pretty standard. The problem is if I set this flow live, I set it live, I have to wait 90 days. People who enter this flow are people placing an order today. And so if I place an order today, I then have to wait 90 days to then start getting revenue from this flow. And I don't want to wait that long. That sucks. I want to start. What about the people who placed an order 90 days ago? Right now it's January 6th at the time of me recording this. I want somebody on October 6th. I want to send them an email today with my win-back offer. So that's when we want to do a segment-based trigger. So when we create our flow, we want to do a segment-based trigger. I'm going to build our own. We're going to create it manually. I'm just going to show you how to set it up, and then we're going to set up our segment. We're going to do this added to a segment right here. And this is where we then have all of our segments within the account. So we first have to create the segment. So if we go out here and we go into our audience, we go to list and segments, we now need to create our win-back segment. We're going to create a segment. segment. It's essentially just going to be a part of the list based on what parameters we set. So I'm going to do Winback test right here. Then I'm going to do this exact setup. I want somebody who placed an order exactly 90 days ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do place an order at least once in the last 91 days, and somebody has placed an order 0 times in the last 89 days. So what we have here is we then, if we take a look at the segment, that means we have 876 people who placed an order 90 days ago. It's a cool little trick right here, but now these are all people who would enter my Winback flow today just by having this segment. And so it's only going to fire for people exactly 90 days after they placed their order. So I'm going to create this segment. I'm going to go back to that Winback flow that I had set up, but which it looks like I don't. Oh, it's WB test. I'm going to go back to this test. Actually, you know what? Let me clone it so you guys can see how you can actually clone a flow. I'm going to click clone and change the trigger. I'm going to clone to this account, and I'm going to change the trigger. Actually, you can't do that with a segment. Shit. All right, let's go back to actually creating this flow. We're going to create the flow. We are then going to go into build your own test WB2. I'm going to create this manually. And again, we are going to trigger based on the segment, add it to segment. And now let's find that Winback segment that I just set up. Right here, we have the Winback test segment right here. We're going to allow people to re-enter if they want. You can set whatever parameters, maybe once every 90 days, but it really doesn't matter. If you want to do it, I can just do allow re-entry, and the only filter that we're going to want to set up is place order 0 times since starting this flow. We want to make sure that if somebody places an order, they are going to be removed from the flow so they don't receive the rest of the email. So we're going to do placed order 0 times since starting this flow. And so we have the trigger set as when somebody is added to this segment right here. Perfect. Click save. Boom. We are ready to rock and roll. So let's add in our emails right here. Let's add you in, add our time delay, 7 days, add another time delay for 3 days, and then we are going to add our other email right here, and then our last email right here. Here's the structure for it. Make sure we turn off our skip recently emailed profiles so that the people receive these emails. And the last little nuance that we want to do is these segments are updated every day at midnight. And so technically, everybody's going to be added to the segment at midnight. So that means somebody is added to that segment. That's going to trigger this flow. And that's going to then trigger this email to be sent at midnight. So I like to always set as well a time delay right here to wait until a specific time of the day. Then maybe we could do like typically 1 p.m. is a good time to send emails. So I'm going to wait until 1 p.m., wait 0 days, wait until 1 p.m. And then I'm going to have these emails. I'm going to design and create my emails based on this exact layout and template section that I've shown you right here. And then I'm going to set these emails up and set these live for the Winback flow. And that is the complete beginner's guide to setting up your email flows inside of Clavio. The automated flows are only just one part of what you need for email marketing strategy. There's a lot more that you need to do. So if you want to actually get input on everything that we do for this brand that we make over $500,000 a month from email marketing and SMS marketing, watch this next video, which I will link here, and I will see you over there.